Okay, guys, this is a video in response to Resurrection Training's video. He made a martial arts tier list, pretty much based on which one would do the best in like a real life situation. Talking about self-defense situations, okay? So if you had to defend yourself, which would you learn? Which would be the best one to do? Below, I've got pictures of who I think are probably the best representatives of each martial art. I'm going to go over these people as well and talk about why I chose them, stuff like that. So I think off the bat, we got Judo here. We got freaking Teddy Riner. Okay, I'm going to put Judo in B tier. For now, I might change these later. We'll see. But, one thing about Judo is it's hard to find. But the few judo places that I've been to, schools that I've been to, have been super legit. I think it's actually a good thing that it's not widely popular like maybe Taekwondo or karate or jiu-jitsu is because like a lot of those places are just straight up McDojos guys. They're just, you know, 400-pound instructor munching on cheeseburgers, making a 12-year-old teach his class. You know what I mean? A lot of charlatans involved, but with judo, very hard to find a bad judo school. Usually it's going to be taught by, a guy who's like a third degree black belt or fourth degree black belt or something who's been doing judo for like 40 fucking years. In terms of self defense, I mean, look, if somebody comes at you and you can pretty much use the force coming toward you to your advantage and just toss them on their freaking head, game over. you know, all it takes is one freaking throw. You know what I mean? One freaking skull hitting the freaking pavement, and it's a done deal. So I think judo is definitely up there. Now let's look at freaking Teddy Riner real quick, man. Where are my tabs? There they are. Bear with me here. Now this dude, 12 times world judo champion. He's got a shit ton of gold medals. Let's look it up because I don't really remember. But he's also a freaking Goliath. He's like 6'8". Total stud here. Let's see. Yeah, 3 gold medals. I mean, look at all these freaking medals, guys. He's got some bronzes too, silvers, and the championships. Look at the freaking decorations this guy's collected. You know what I mean? The accolades. And then let me see. I think he's like 6'8". Yeah, 311 pounds. I mean, this guy, talk about an S tier athlete. If you saw this guy on the street, you know what I mean? You better walk the direction. Because this guy will toss you on your head and it's going to split up like a freaking watermelon. You know what I mean? So, S tier practitioner. But I'm going to say for now, probably a B tier martial art just because we're only talking about throwing people, right? Now, you learn a little bit of submissions in judo, a little bit of ground game, but it's mostly starting from the feet and doing sweeps and doing throws. And that's great, but it's not going to make you a complete martial artist, okay? So let's go back to the freaking list. See what else we got going on, guys. Now, next we got Taekwondo, my martial art that I earned a third degree black belt in. Man, the thing about Taekwondo is it's hard to talk about because it's a mixed martial art. And it's not very old. I know it's funny, like karate and taekwondo are called traditional martial arts, but that term doesn't make much sense because I don't know, karate, I think the oldest form of karate was founded in like the 19th century. And then Taekwondo was founded in like the 70s. So it's not even a century old. It's like not even 60 years old. So I have no idea what they call it traditional. But I don't know. It's hard to talk about. There's so many different styles of Taekwondo. I've been to many, man, probably like a dozen different Taekwondo schools, and I gotta say, most of them were full of shit, which is why I immediately put in the D tier list because there's so much, again, McDojo fucking bullshitting charlatans out there just teaching wacky nonsense, buying black belts from freaking eBay, from Alibaba. You know what I mean? Just teaching total crap, not pressure testing at all, like zero sparring. Or if it is sparring, it's like no contact sparring. It's almost like a freaking, like, it doesn't make any sense. No contact sparring. It's like a paradox, like where you're just dancing around. Like 80% of the Taekwondo schools aren't worth going to learn how to defend yourself. You might as well go to like a dance studio. You know what I mean? But that being said, the two schools that I've been involved with, I'd say New Revolution and also Barnett Taekwondo out of Athens, Georgia. Both of those were fantastic because they didn't just they weren't caught up in the past. Okay, if you go back to like the 70s, 80s, not many people really knew what was effective. Nobody was really pressure testing. Nobody was having these mixed martial arts competitions. They really knew, how effective their kicks and stuff like this would be against other martial artists. But, once we started finding this out, the good schools, the good instructors were like, okay, this is interesting. I should learn this and become a better martial artist. And that's what a lot of these guys did, especially New Revolution and Barnett Taekwondo specifically. Those guys were like MMA fighters essentially. So I learned, grappling. It wasn't just kicking and doing forms. It was sparring pretty hard. It was like dabbling in kickboxing, dabbling in grappling. We were kind of doing it all, like knees and elbows and punches and everything. So those are pretty, I would say, high tier schools. But like, guys, 80% of the schools, maybe even 90% of the schools out there is just full of shit and not worth going to. It's a waste of time. These guys are just making money. they're not they're not teaching anything useful. That being said, the legit practitioners, such as this man I've had in this picture, Grandmaster He Il Cho, excuse me. These guys will freaking kick the teeth out of your face in a fraction of a second. You know what I mean? Like, I've done Muay Thai, I've done Taekwondo, and the Taekwondo guys kick harder than the Muay Thai guys. It's insane. You wouldn't think that'd be the case, especially since the Muay Thai guys tend to spar harder. But holy shit! I mean, I've held pads for Muay Thai fighters and gotten my freaking forearms bruised, even with like 12-inch thick pads. But I've held giant shield pads for guys doing Taekwondo who are like second-degree black belts, throwing jump back kicks, and I've had the wind knocked out of me. You know what I mean? It's insane, some of these kicks, the force they can produce. So definitely no joke. And I couldn't really think of again, it's hard to find like one practitioner to rule them all because the Olympic Taekwondo is kind of horseshit. And it's a very new sport that's still evolving. And again, there's so many different styles of Taekwondo, so it's like, who do I choose to represent this martial art? So I chose this guy because he's an actor, and he's also like a stuntman, and he's got the high flying kicks, man. He was a badass. He's very athletic. There's him doing like a jump twist kick. Look at the freaking hip mobility. What in the fuck is happening there? The guy is a legend. He's still alive today. Very, very athletic, very Bruce Lee-esque physique. Doing the freaking blindfold, jump back kicks, breaking bricks. Yeah, Definitely a badass. Look at the freaking flexibility, dude. Another thing about Taekwondo, and I think Nick mentioned this too in his video, it takes a long time and a lot of athleticism to get good at. So, legs are hard to train, guys. Hard to, learn the splits. Hard to, train hard enough and have the reflexes and power in the lower body and in the torso too to freaking do like a jump back spinning kick and all this stuff. So it takes a while to get good, and a lot of people just won't have the freaking time of day to do that. So that is why I'm putting it in D, even though I literally practice Taekwondo. I'm just being honest here, guys. Alright, I'm gonna go to Muay Thai next. This is gonna be, I think we're going S tier this one, guys. And the face is cut off, but the practitioner I have here to represent the freaking sport and martial art is this man here. Namsak Noi. I'm not going to try to pronounce that last name because that is way too many syllables for my dumbass. But if you know who this guy is, he is a 3-division Lumpini Stadium champion. That is the most prestigious fight circuit stadium in Thailand and in the entire world. He won the championship in 3 different weight classes, and he held, I forget which title it was, might have been a few of them for several years. I think it might have been the lightweight class. He held that title for 6 fucking years, which is a record and kind of insane. If you look at his fight record, 300 fights he was in, only 20 of those he lost, guys, and he's got 86 freaking knockouts. Now you might think, why haven't I heard of this guy? I've heard of Bakao, I've heard of Songshai. Well, if you look at those guys' records, Bakao has less fights, and he has more losses, and he has less knockouts. So even though he's, super popular and stuff, this guy right here, he's got him by the numbers. And Songshai, I believe, has probably 70 more fights in his record, which is kind of crazy, but a lot of his fights were outside of Thailand. And again, he has more losses, and I think he only has Thailand. I don't know. I'm going to look it up, actually. I think he has like 44 knockouts versus the 86 or whatever. This guy had 86 knockouts from this guy. How do you spell Songshai? Oh, there it is. I already looked it up. No, don't get me wrong. Songshai and Bakao are fucking amazing, but I'm just going by the numbers here, guys. Going by the numbers, yeah, so 378 total fights, fucking insane. 327 wins, also insane, but again, not even half the knockouts, and more than twice as many losses, so. By the numbers, we gotta go with our boy, Namsak Noi. I'm gonna get back to him. Watch this guy's fights, man. He's retired now, but, the guy was a freaking stud. I mean, come on. 20 losses and 300 fights, that's ridiculous, guys. Now let me get back to why I'm saying this is S tier. Though I might change my mind later. I've dabbled in Muay Thai. It was one of the first martial arts I was learning when I was a teenager, and I mean the conditioning these guys had just blew my mind. Like their shins and forearms, and even like their midsection were so tough. Because you gotta think, guys, you're throwing your bones into people. You're going bone to bone with people. After years of that, your shins are gonna be harder than freaking iron. Like, I remember watching like old Joe Rogan podcast episodes, like talking about 10 plus years ago, when he was talking to Boss Root, and he was saying these guys from Holland who did Muay Thai, like Peter Ards, for example, he'd be partying with them, getting drunk, and for fun, they would like just kick random shit on the street. So they'd exit the club, all drunk and whatever, go on to the next club, and on the way they'd just like kick a lamppost or kick like a newspaper stand with their freaking bare shins, through jeans, I guess, or whatever, and like it was nothing. So it's insane the conditioning these guys have. I mean, imagine just getting kicked in the leg by a freaking metal bat. That's pretty much what that is, guys. Being thrown around at like freaking, 60 miles per hour. You got a freaking metal bar coming at you, essentially. So hard to defend yourself against that, and you pretty much can't unless you've been around Muay Thai for a while. But also just imagine the toughness of, sparring hard. Again, Muay Thai is a combat sport, constantly pressure tested, constant sparring and strength conditioning. I mean, these guys are freaking athletes. You got grappling, you got the clinch game, which is kind of like Greco-Roman wrestling combined with some like judo sweeps. I mean, you got the grappling skills, you got the punches, the elbows, the knees, the kicks. I think probably the best self-defense maneuver is the front kick, the front leg front kick, or the teep as they call it in Muay Thai. That's like the longest range strike you could throw. I mean, if you do it correctly, let's say a guy's coming at you and you throw that kick just right, that dude's gonna fly like 10 feet in the opposite direction and fall right on his ass. And if he gets back up and tries to attack you again, he's an idiot. So that's why I'm putting that in the S tier. It's just all around incredible martial art with incredible practitioners. It's gonna be hard to find even an amateur Muay Thai fighter that's not a tough son of a bitch. So, all right, next we got freaking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm gonna put this. I thought about putting it in B. I might put it below Judo though, because Judo. I mean, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu comes from Judo, guys. It's pretty much Judo, but focused on the ground. And every fight starts on the feet. Every fight in real life starts on the feet. You know what I mean? I don't know, let's say maybe one guy's sitting down at a desk or something. I've seen those videos, but pretty much every fight is going to start standing. And I've been to jiu-jitsu schools, guys, where, they spar constantly, but a lot of them, they'll start sparring from their knees. They won't even start sparring standing, which is completely stupid. So, Rickson Gracie here I got as the representative of the sport and martial art. Incredible S tier martial artist. Obviously his former jiu-jitsu was incredible. He tested himself in mixed martial arts and even Vale Tudo, like anything goes kind of competitions, street fights, everything. So obviously Rickson is amazing, but again, Jiu-Jitsu's evolving their guard game, they're evolving as a sport. I think they're kind of getting maybe a little bit watered down. Now, I might put this in B just because you are going to find a lot of legitimate Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools that also teach wrestling, that also teach Judo, that also teach mixed martial arts. So those schools are definitely S tier, but Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on its own, and considering maybe like, I don't know, half the schools nowadays are kind of shitty in the way they spar and stuff, just kind of unrealistic. I'm still gonna keep that B for now. Yeah, man, you gotta learn a little bit more than just wiggling around on your back, pulling guard and stuff. Like, you're not gonna pull guard in a street fight. Like, come on, you're gonna get stomped in the face, or freaking soccer kicked by some guy's friend, or just picked up and slammed. You know what I mean? There's a judo move actually. I was looking at a video earlier, probably a few weeks ago, of like old judo moves, and obviously pulling guard comes from judo. And the counter to this was to just pick the guy up and slam him. That was like, a fucking Japanese judo technique that's like, over 100 years old. And that's exactly what could happen in a real fight. So pulling guard, kind of stupid, guys, but it can work, I guess, if you know a lot of other stuff too, like anything. But anyway, Move on to karate now. We got freaking. I'm putting D tier, just Taekwondo. Now it's hard again, just like Taekwondo, to really talk about karate as like a single entity. It's not. It's not like that. There's tons of forms and styles of karate. Karate is like a few centuries old, give or take. I want to say, is it like the Shinryu or Shinrei style or something was like the first recorded style of karate. That was probably in the 19th century. So, it's they call it traditional martial arts, but again, it's not. It's not that old, guys. I don't really understand the traditional. What does traditional mean if it's not, not even that old? Uh, and again, same problem as Taekwondo. Tons of charlatans out there. Karate, everybody knows karate. If you do any kind of martial art, people would be like, "Oh, you do karate," and it's like, "No, I do this," and they're like, "Oh, is that like another form of karate?" It's like, "No, it's something else." you know, Nowadays people knew a little bit more about martial arts, but growing up, if I told somebody I did Muay Thai, they'd be like, "Oh, what kind of karate is that?" you know what I mean? Karate was, and still is in some places, like synonymous with the term martial arts, because there's so much karate out there. And again, 80 to 90% of it is total bullshit, and it's not pressure tested. It's not the sparring is crap. You've got point style competitions. However, the man like chose to represent karate here in this picture is Mas Oyama. That's him freaking punching a makiwara wooden board with the ropes around it. And this guy was a freaking stud. Oh yeah, Shori Ryoso. I was looking up earlier. That's a 19th century old ass Okinawan karate. Let me get back to Mas Oyama. Now this guy is a badass. Look at this freaking specimen. Look how freaking yoked this guy was. Definitely an S tier martial artist. The founder of Kyokushin Karate. Like, you might be aware of this style. It's fairly new, founded in the 60s. I think it was like 1964 by this man. A lot of these guys in the 80s and 90s partook in kickboxing competitions as well as mixed martial arts competitions, and some of them winning. A lot of them became K1 champions, for instance, and the sparring was very hard. They're punching each other, kicking each other. There's all kinds of stories about the dojos in Japan just essentially having like street fights inside of their dojo between black belts and stuff. So pretty crazy shit. These guys are definitely hardcore martial artists, but that's only one style of karate. Kyokushin's one style I think is super legit and very tried and tested. Every other style, not very tried and tested. At least not that I know of, not in my experience. And anything where you're not testing yourself with hard sparring is not going to be great to learn for self-defense or anything really. I mean, shit. If you're not freaking jacked like this guy and just freaking beating the crap out of your out of your classmates, with respect, I don't know, man. It might not be worth doing. A lot of it's just a bunch of, dance studio bullshit, doing forms, not hitting each other hard, no contact sparring. Again, what the fuck does that mean? Just useless, time wasting activity. I went to a karate school one time because I was like, I want to do karate. It sounds cool. Karate is like the martial art, right? I went in there and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna spar, but we're gonna do light contact. You can't hit each other in the head. Only body shots. Nothing below the belt." And it's like, Jesus. So all I can do is attack the torso. And we've got all this like padding on, like shin guards and big ass gloves and chest guards. The first thing I did, because I was an asshole back then, I was like 18 years old, is I threw a jab at this guy's face. And he got super pissed, obviously, because that was against the rules, but it was insane that I almost got kicked out of a martial arts studio for throwing a jab. Like, just wrap your mind around that, guys. Wrap your mind around how a jab is illegal. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? How is this martial arts? How is this self-defense? This is complete horse shittery. So that is why it is in the D tier. Even though you can find legit karate schools, just like you can find legit any of these martial arts, but the majority of them are going to be D tier bullshit. All right, only two more guys. We got wrestling, which is going to S tier. I mean, we've been wrestling since the dawn of man, guys. We've been freaking tussling with each other for millennia upon millennia. And look, I've had experiences sparring with freaking wrestlers. It is not a fun experience, but it's a very eye-opening experience. I mean, even guys that are in lower weight classes than me, and I'm not a very big guy. I've sparred with guys that are like 120 pounds, and I'm about 165, and those guys felt stronger than most of my 200 plus pound partners I've sparred with. I mean, they were just little wiry freaking packs of dynamite. You know what I mean? The strength and conditioning these guys do is fucking insane. They got it all. They're super athletes. They got the flexibility, the speed, the power, the endurance, the strength, the cardio, the reflexes. You know, they got the sparring. They're always wrestling, always sparring each other. I mean, these guys are just freaks of nature. And so the representative I got for wrestlers is freaking Alexander Karelin, who is, I mean, look at that record. Just look at that fucking record. 87 wins and 2 losses, guys. What in the fuck? Like, that is the most S tier athlete I've ever heard of. I mean, come on. I think Alexander Karelin easily takes any of the rest of these guys on the tier list who I put up here. I mean, this guy's even fucking up Bruce Lee. Like, I don't give a shit. Just even say something like that. He's just a monster, you know, over 300 pounds in body weight, and just a freak athlete. You know, will freaking pick you up and toss you on the ground and freaking dominate your ass. You know what I mean? just sit on your freaking back, and you pin you, and you can't do anything about it. You know, and that's got to be just having the athleticism of a wrestler and having the ability to, let's say somebody freaking attacks you on the street with like one of these, you know, wild haymakers you see all the time, these freaking street fighting videos. Duck under that shit, pick him up, toss him to the ground. You know, if that doesn't freaking knock him out or incapacitate him, get on top of him. You know, pin him down, give him like a dominant position, wait for the cops to come, and you're good to go. That's gotta be S tier self-defense right there, guys. And that's just the god honest truth. Wrestling is freaking OP. The only problem with wrestling is it's not very accessible to adults. Like, you kind of have to do it when you're like middle and high school and college, and that's kind of it. There's not really like a wrestling dojo, you know, or a wrestling stable you can go to as an adult to learn basic grappling. You're probably better off finding one of these like legit judo or like jiu-jitsu studios that teach wrestling as well, which is unfortunate. But the martial art itself and the practitioners are just S tier, S tier, S tier, man. They're incredible. So that is why I've chosen S tier for wrestling. So now, last but not least, we got boxing, and we're gonna go A tier, man. Obviously, all you're doing is using your fists to attack. You know, very limited, you know, weaponry, so to speak. But boxers also incredible athletes, like strength conditioning on point. You know, reflexes, the ability to just dodge and use footwork to get behind somebody and just cut angles, and you know, they're incredible guys. And the representative I've chosen here for boxing is Joe Louis. You might be thinking, oh, why didn't you choose Muhammad Ali or freaking Mike Tyson? Well, those guys are obviously legends, but Joe Louis, again, by the numbers, By the numbers, this guy is the greatest heavyweight boxer of all time. We're talking about 25 title defenses, guys. Held the freaking heavyweight boxing championship title for 11 years and 8 months. I mean, come on. This guy is a freaking stud. Talking about the freaking 1920s, 30s, something like that. I'm gonna go to the freaking Wikipedia here. So yeah, 1937, let's see, competed 1934 to 1951, the Brown Bomber, the original Brown Bomber, and now we got, the fuck is that guy's name? From Alabama? Whatever, doesn't matter. Forget his freaking name. Who was that guy? This is gonna kill me if I can't remember his freaking name. Brown Bomber. Who was the Brown Bomber now? What is that dude's name? Joe Louis, obviously. But who's the other guy? God damn it. Help me out here. Help me out here. What's this guy's name? Alabama is where he's from, right? Boxer. The fuck is this guy's name? No, it's not Joe Louis. I mean, it is Joe Louis, but who was the fucking modern Brown Bomber? What the fuck is this guy's name? Heavyweight. This is gonna kill me. I'm probably have to cut this out of the video. Heavyweight boxer from Alabama. Deontay Wilder. How did I forget Deontay Wilder? I'm so stupid. He took on the name Brown Bomber from Joe Louis. This guy is an incredible freaking athlete. I don't know if the 25 freaking title defenses in a row will ever, ever be freaking repeated. That's an insane feat. I know some people would be like, oh, well, back then they didn't have like the competition they do now. Well, okay. You can say that about like anybody 50, 80 years from now. The thing is, the guy fought the best of his time and he defeated them all. You know what I mean? So you gotta give him props for that. And also just an amazing person, an incredible person in U.S. history. One of the first black boxers to fight white boxers. It used to be kind of like separated, like segregated. You had like the colored championships, whatever kind of racist bullshit they called it, and they had the freaking white boxing championships. And he was one of the first guys that was like, all right, I'm gonna go fight some white dudes now, and he fucking kicked all their asses. So it's a very insane kind of thing going on in the 1930s and 40s. A lot of riots happened in response to his wins against the white competitors. Crazy stuff. Very important character in history and in the sport of boxing. And just in general, guys, boxing, I mean, again, if you're in a fight, most fights start standing. Most real freaking altercations start on the feet. If you can freaking dodge a wild punch coming at you and just counter it real quick, freaking clip a guy around the freaking button of the chin, knock him out instantly, there you go. Game over within a matter of a second, Gotta be A tier. Pretty close to S tier. I'm only putting Muay Thai and wrestling ahead of it just because there's more weaponry in Muay Thai. And I think the wrestlers have just more size and strength and athleticism in general than boxers do. But there it is, guys. There's the freaking list. If I offended anybody, I'm not sorry. Chill out. It's not a big deal. It's not that serious. Only my opinion, okay? Anyway, take care. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any opinions to share, feel free to comment. Have a good one. Peace.